Welcome to After School with Mr. Van Huss, episode 25. Today, I get to sit down with my friend Ben Gallagher, who is a singer, songwriter, and musician here in Nashville, Tennessee. I saw Ben play a couple of years ago, and trust me, if you ever see him play, you'll never forget it because this guy can wear a guitar out. He is an awesome musician, great guy. It is my pleasure and my honor to sit here today and talk with Ben Gallagher.
All right, welcome
Awesome.
to After School with Mr. Van Huss. Today I'm here with Ben Gallagher. Ben, how's it going?
What's up? Hey, thanks for having me on, man.
Man, I'm so glad to have you. For everybody watching, we met a year or two ago when Ben played the CMA Spotlight stage and I was hosting, and I was blown away watching you play. You are a mean guitar player and a great singer-songwriter, and you were one of those people that I was fortunate enough to watch from right there at the side of the stage, and it just hooked my attention completely. So you're awesome, and I appreciate you sitting down here to talk to me for a little bit.
No, I appreciate it, man. It's great to see you. I've been looking forward to this.
Awesome. So we'll start out. For anybody who may not be familiar with your work, I'm just going to let you introduce yourself and just tell us a little bit about what you do.
Yeah, so my name's Ben Gallaher, and I'm originally from Pennsylvania, but moved to Nashville, Tennessee in 2011. And I have been here ever since, mainly on the road, but based in Nashville as a recording artist and a songwriter full time. And that really stemmed from I started playing guitar when I was 6. And from then on, I felt like this was what I was supposed to do. It was a God thing, really. I had a handful of lessons, but I felt like it was instilled in me. And it takes hard work like anything, right? But I think when you have a passion that's burning you up, that you feel like that's where you're supposed to go, that you just roll on, man. It's like you can't help it. Like I can't help but play. And I felt like that was my path.
Well, you definitely play it well. I can tell you that much. So what, besides it being a God thing, what kind of originally influenced you to do what you do?
So I grew up on 90s country music. My folks, they were playing 90s country on the radio. Um, and so that's what I was exposed to. So that's all I grew up on, really. I mean, it wasn't a mix of all these different things. I like rock and roll in high school. I got into some rock and roll, and some of that is an influence in my sound. But as a guitar player, that 90s country guitar playing sound is such an iconic sound, and it just hit my ear, and I'd play along to the radio, and my folks had gotten me a guitar, and I just wouldn't leave my side, and it started then, and I knew that Nashville, Tennessee is where you go for country. If you want to do country music, you go to Nashville. So as a kid, I knew I was going to end up here. It was just a matter of when.
Very cool. So who are your 90s country heroes?
Man, there's so many. When people ask that, I'm like, I can't even name one. I mean, Brooks and Dunn. I mean, those early Tim McGraw records, Tracy Lawrence, Black Hawk. I mean, I could just go on and on. Travis Tritt. I mean, all of them, man. They're just what a sound. Were you into 90s country?
Man, I was so into 90s country. I'm a little bit older than you, so I graduated high school in 96. So that country music, that was the soundtrack to my high school and college years.
And that was rocking,
I wore
that
stuff out. Wore it
yeah.
out. I used to go to school all the time wearing Sawyer Brown t-shirts and Brooks and Dunn and Alan Jackson and all this stuff, and just that was my stuff in high school, especially. So
man, that's
I loved
awesome.
it.
Yeah.
It was so good. When my first music business experience, I started interning with CMA. I guess I started interning in 2000, and I had the opportunity to work some CMA awards through MTSU from 97 to 99. So my first experience was kind of on the tail end of that 90s boom. And it was so cool to see that and just be like even just a little fraction of a part of that was the coolest thing ever.
Oh
But
man, that's awesome.
it's
Yeah.
good stuff. So what was high school like for you? What kind of student were you in high school?
Well, I don't know if I
And
can talk about
it's
that on
okay,
here.
good or bad,
No,
because I wasn't a great student in high school. So that's all.
no, I'm just kidding. No, I see. In Nashville, there's a school, as you guys are probably all familiar with, Belmont. That's where I wanted to go to college. So once I realized that, I had to become a better student because you needed good grades to get into Belmont. And so that shaped me up just a little bit. But I wrestled all through. I was a high school wrestler, and well, really all through middle school and high school. So I was into sports and but just wrestling. And you guys have wrestling
We
there?
do. It just started here at Station Camp a couple of years ago. But I've got a couple of
Awesome.
students in some of my classes that are wrestlers right now.
No, that's awesome, man. See, it's huge up north, and I know down south, it's not. I didn't think it was as common as it was up where I'm from in Pennsylvania. But no, I think really any sport, but for me, it was wrestling. I think there's a lot of skills that you learn, but you don't know you're learning it at the time, and then you can apply those for later. No matter in any situation, really. Wrestling's one on one. It's last man standing. There's a lot of resilience and determination and drive and all of that's woven into the sport and practice with the team, that I feel like there's lessons that you can take from that, at least for me. And so anyway, back to your question. High school was fine, but I was so set on Nashville and getting to where I wanted to be, that I was ready. I mean, I enjoyed high school, but I wanted to get to Nashville, and I knew I had to get good grades in high school to get to Belmont. And so that's the short story.
That's very, very cool. I think you and I have some similarities in our background for sure, because I grew up in East Tennessee, and I always knew I wanted to do something with music, at least starting out. I never thought I'd be a teacher. That my dreams
Yeah.
changed as I went along, but that was my whole goal too. Get to Nashville and just get my foot in the door any way I could. In high school or college, did you have a favorite teacher or a favorite mentor or anything like that that kind of pushed you along that you learned from? Anybody that stood out?
Yeah, a couple actually. I mean, for high school, my shop teacher, Mr. Hom, wood shop, um, he was awesome. I always connected with him. He was great because he allowed the students to be creative, and I'm a creative. And so I always thought that was really cool that we weren't, boxed in so much, and taught some of that life stuff woven into shop class and metal shop class, and that always stuck with me. In college, and I had a couple. The first one probably Mr. Dwayne O'Brien at Belmont. He's in the Little Texas band.
Mhm.
Played guitar and sang in Little Texas, and he was my college professor teaching music business. And so to hear stories from him one on one, just real stories from being out on the road and country music and all that stuff, not just from a textbook. This is like you were getting it from the guy.
Mhm.
That was really cool, but a lot of great professors. It's a good question, man. It's hard to pick just two.
That's good. It's good that you were lucky to have like a lot of good teachers and professors and stuff, and that's always something I think other teachers like to hear. That they're out there making a difference in people and proving to be those examples. So here you've got the ear of some high school students. What is one life lesson that you learned along your journey that you would pass on to high school students?
Hmm.
And again, I know it might be hard to just pick one. If you're like me, I've learned a lot of life lessons over the
I
years.
know, man. Probably the biggest one is if you have a passion, and you feel like you're supposed to be on a certain path. I would say go for it and don't have a backup plan. if you have that burning passion about something, so for me, it was music. I knew that that was what I was supposed to do, and I had so much drive, and that was it. No questions asked, right? I didn't have a backup plan because I felt like if I did have a backup plan, then I was already setting myself up, well, mentally, that this may not work out, you know? And it's like, and that's a bad headspace to be in, right? You know, so much is mental, so much is mental. And it's like, I don't want to go into it thinking, well, I guess if this just doesn't go out, then I'll go, you know, work over here, or I'll just go do this. That's a terrible mindset. If you feel like you're supposed to do it, go all in. I mean, all in. Now, I would say that if you don't have, and that's okay. I mean, not everybody has that right away. I was blessed early on to, you know, to know at 6 years old that I was supposed to do this. And that's not the case for everybody. I realize that. And if you don't have that passion quite yet, or something that you know exactly what you're supposed to do or want to do, I would say don't settle until you find it. You know, I would say don't get too comfortable. I mean, I feel like you can really grow when you get uncomfortable, and figuring out what you want to do. So I'd say don't settle until you find that. But I don't know if you should take it from me, but that's all I got.
I think it sounds like great advice to me. Like I said, my dreams kind of changed along the way, and I try to always tell my students, you don't have to, know exactly what you want to be at 18 years old. If you
No.
great, more power to you. I was like 30 when I went back to get my master's degree so I could teach, and sometimes that just happens that way. And that was the best decision I ever made, so it was wonderful. So, what do you got coming up? I know you're on the road, been working on some new music.
Yeah, we're gonna be putting some stuff out.
attractions?
What'd you say?
I said, what can you tell us about some coming attractions?
I know we recorded this new song that we're gonna about to put out here real soon. I think it's gonna be a surprise to my fans in a good way. Um, and it's not one that I wrote. It's a classic song that you would definitely know. I don't know if the kids nowadays would know it, but
They may know if they come to my class because I still play a lot of that old stuff.
I love it. Yeah. So that's gonna be coming out soon. But yeah, we're on the road. I'm going to California next week. Flying. So it's been good, man. It's been good. Well, I don't there probably will be plans to go in and record another album here. Probably within the next year, but with record labels, man, you never know. They tell you when you're gonna go in and record. You don't have too much say.
I hear that. Well, for anybody that has not already checked out your music, I hope they do. I know you've got one song called "Stomp" that I have worn out blasting in my car because it's such a great, like, driving down the road, roll the windows down, and like crank it up to 11 kind of song. And that one especially like really hooked me. And you've got a lot of really, really good stuff, and you're incredibly talented. So I can't wait to see like where you go in the next few years.
No, I appreciate it, man. That song was formed just from that riff that went viral on social media. That's how that all came about, which was so crazy. Nowadays, you never know. Like, you never know what's going to take off, or just a small piece of music can really, impact a lot of people. So, no, I appreciate it, man. Thanks for having me on here. I sure hope to see you soon.
I hope so too. Hopefully our paths will cross somewhere. And I appreciate you giving me your time and staying after school with Mr. Van Huss. It was great talking to you.
Thank you, sir.